Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Mountaineer Postgame Show. I'm Schuyler Callihan. This episode, as always, brought to you by West Virginia on SI. A final score in Boulder, Colorado. West Virginia getting the win 78-70. They improved to 12-3 on the season and 3-1 in Big 12 play. A massive win for Darren DeVries' shorthanded squad. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the numbers. Joseph Yesufu, a season-high 18 points, came up big with several big shots. Some tough shots at that in the second half. 18 points, 3 rebounds. Javon Small did his thing as usual. 26 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Did a little bit of everything. And for Colorado, leading the way was Julian Hammond III with 23 points and 4 rebounds. Really, the difference in this game was the free throw line in the second half. Colorado attempted 28 free throws in the second half, 30 on the game. And even though the totals there look pretty even, 28 attempts for West Virginia, 30 for Colorado. Several of those attempts for West Virginia came in the final minutes when Colorado was forced to foul. Colorado, that was pretty much their only offense throughout that second half. They were able to get it down into a one-possession game. But it was West Virginia able to hold on to get the win 78-70 in Boulder. So first takeaway from this one is just a massive win. I mean, this is not going to be one that's going to really spark your resume, or it's really going to have everyone around college basketball talking like the Kansas win did or like the Gonzaga win did earlier in the year. But this type of game is one that could be very sneaky for a team that's going all the way across the country to play on a Sunday afternoon, 4 to 5 days after they just put together maybe one of their worst games of the season against Arizona. You're still shorthanded. You had your flight delayed again, and it's just a lot of these things are starting to accumulate. And once again, they were able to find a way to push through the adversity and not bow down when Colorado went through their run in that second half. So just a tremendous hats off to those guys to be able to kind of push through that adversity and get to the finish line once again. For the 12th time this season. That's huge to get a win in this league. And as Tony Caridi mentioned in the postgame show on the radio side, this now matches this season. They have 2 road wins in conference play. That matches the last 3 years combined road victories. 2 years, two of those seasons they went winless on the road. 1 year they won 2. So a huge start to this season. Obviously, a couple of big games coming up here against Houston on the road on Wednesday, and then coming back home to the Coliseum to take on the third-ranked Iowa State Cyclones. So you had to get this one. With those two coming on deck, you knew you had to get a split between Arizona and Colorado at the worst. You would have liked to take both, but you at least put yourself in position to be in a decent spot heading into these big-time games against Houston and Iowa State. Secondly, the free throw line. Let's just talk about it. I mean, it has been somewhat of a pain in the side for West Virginia at points this year. The Kansas game, I don't want to say too much about it because it's been too far removed. But I mean, that was a game where I felt West Virginia just did not get a good whistle whatsoever. Today, it was a little bit of both. I thought there was a lot of inconsistent calls from the officials on both ends, really. But there was a lot of bad fouling, too. I thought guys were just playing at a frantic pace. They felt the pressure coming from Colorado. They felt the run coming. They felt like they had to try and do something special on the defensive end. And they were caught too many times reaching and grabbing and just being too physical, too handsy. And Darren DeVries talked about it in his postgame as well, that you can do that stuff, but you got to do it to a point where you're not going overboard and you're fouling. I thought there's a lot of careless fouls in that second half, and some of that could just be fatigue setting in. But again, it's not like they were always though in those manners. I think there was a few times where, again, you could probably say there was a little bit of a friendly home whistle to Colorado there, but that was the big difference. I mean, if not, if they don't send Colorado to the free throw line, this game probably gets out of hand. It probably stays at a 12 to 15 point advantage for most of the night. But in the first half, Colorado had 2 free throw attempts and 11 turnovers. That's an insane stat. Every time they came up the floor, they looked disjointed. They looked like they couldn't find an open basket. They weren't getting much action. They weren't getting good ball movement. They were very sloppy. The second half, 28 free throw attempts in one half. 28 free throw attempts. That's more than one per minute. So the fact that you're able to get to the line that much really helped them out because they weren't finding any shots, but they only turned the ball over 3 times. Now, of course, when you're getting to the line as much as they didn't have to worry about throwing the ball away as much. So I think that was the biggest difference in this game. Is the only reason, in my opinion, that Colorado even had a chance to win this game was because they continued to find a way to get to the free throw line. Again, a little bit of both there, a little bit on West Virginia playing a little too aggressive, a little too careless, and a couple of calls probably were made that probably shouldn't have been called. But you were still able to find a way in the final minutes to kind of clean things up, get a couple of stops, force Colorado to run some offense. And when they did, guess what happened? You got some stops. They weren't able to see the ball go through the hoop. A couple of other guys I want to talk about: Jake Auer and Eduardo Andre, Joseph Yesufu. So let's go right down in order here. Jake Auer, walk on. You know he's not going to be a big part of this rotation long term. You hope it's kind of like a shorter thing. Obviously, for him, you'd like to see him get some run here and there. And I do think it makes a lot of sense in situationally to get him on the floor, whether it's the end of the half or the end of the game. He's a 3-point shooter. He's done it several times in non-conference play. He's shown that ability to knock down shots, but defensively, he's a liability. And it's just is what it is. I mean, they went at him 3 straight times, and he gave up 3 consecutive buckets. DeVries had to call a quick timeout, get things readjusted, get him off the floor, and that was pretty much it. Now for him, if he's going to be on the floor, you've got to almost cater what you do defensively to him. You've got to cater some help, whether that's going to a zone for a little bit in that 2 to 3 minute stretch, or whether it's kind of doubling up and having him kind of be the double. Whether you have Javon Small on the point guard, you're trying to create some pressure, trying to create some turnovers. You have Jake Auer kind of be that floating guy that's going to be that trapper. I don't know what you do, but I don't think you can just have him mano a mano on somebody in the Big 12. It's just probably not going to work out very often, especially in serious minutes. Secondly, Eduardo Andre continues to play well on both ends of the floor, and I tweeted this out. I mean, what he has done offensively, it's not going to have the NBA scouts come calling and say this guy's going to be a draft pick. But I mean, he is playing much better on the offensive end of the floor than I think anybody anticipated. We all knew that he had that ability to block shots, be a disruptor at the rim, and be able to rebound because of his size. He's the biggest guy on the team. He's the only 7-footer they have. But to be able to finish, to be able to get some shots up, even kind of in awkward ways. Like he's kind of able to find ways to get shots to go down, even when it's not just a clean look or a clean hook. He's able to get some of those contested shots down. That's huge. He's able to get to the free throw line. That's huge. Might not be a great free throw shooter, but he's giving you an opportunity to get points on the board. What he has done, in my opinion, since he's taken over that starting role, is far more than what anybody expected out of him. And just me speaking here, I think he needs to be West Virginia's starting center the rest of the way. Amani Hansberry has done some good things here and there, but you can still see he's got a lot to learn. He's got a lot to clean up, and he needs that experience. I think early on, he kind of got thrown into the fire there a little bit, and that was, I think, okay for him to kind of see what that was like, to see what it's like to be as a starter, to go about a routine as a starter. Now he's able to sit back, watch Eduardo Andre do his thing, and I think it's going to benefit him greatly in the end. But right now, I think Eduardo Andre is that starter for you at the 5. Amani can be that first guy off the bench or second guy off the bench, specifically in the front court, your first guy. But he's got a lot of things to clean up. Plus, he's not 100%. He's pretty close, but not quite there. So Eduardo Andre continues to do good things. And then another guy that I want to talk about, Joseph Yesufu, we mentioned earlier, 18 points, season high for him. I give him a ton of credit because he could have checked out a while ago. He's a guy that's been around the college game for a while. He's not been necessarily in the rotation at times, but when he has got on the floor, he's shown that he can make an impact, whether that's defensively and disrupting things in the backcourt, or whether it's being a facilitator. Today, he had his turn to score it, and they needed him to. 18 points, and they needed every single one of them to get this win. He knocked down some really big shots in clutch moments, some tough ones too. Very heavily contested at the rim, at the perimeter. Big night for him. And if that's what they can get out of him moving, it doesn't have to be 18 points a game. But if they can get 6 to 8 points from him a night off the bench, that is massive considering you don't have KJ Tenner right now. You don't know if you're going to get Jaden Stone back anytime soon. You're still without Tucker DeVries in the starting lineup, but you're without two key bench pieces right now in Stone and Tenner. Yesufu has to step up and be that guy. He's got to be the guy. He's the veteran in that among that group. So good thing for him. Good thing for DeVries to finally get that scoring punch off the bench from Joe Yesufu. 78-70, again, your final score in Boulder, Colorado. West Virginia taking it, moving to 12-3 and 3-1 in Big 12 play. That'll do it for us here tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. Give us a follow on X at SI_WVU. And that'll do it for us today. Make sure you come back on Tuesday. We'll have an episode of Between the Years then. No Between the Years on Wednesday because we'll have a post-game show recapping the action between the Mountaineers and the Houston Cougars. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on Tuesday.